I'm excited to bring up the next panel, and thank you for listening to the MC go on for a little bit. Can Pedro, Carlos, and Vlad please come to the stage?
Yes. GM, everyone. Hope you're having a great time in London, NFT.London. So yes, I'm here to present a panel, More Than JPEGs, Unlocking NFTs True Potential. My name is Pedro. I've been involved in the crypto space in 2017. Got really into the rabbit hole in the summer of DeFi in 2020. And I'm currently the head of research and analytics at Radar and also a Web3 advisor for projects of different natures. And with me, brilliant minds, Carlos and Vlad. Please, nice to have you here.
Morning, everyone. I'm Vlad. I'm one of the co-founders of Authentica. We built an AI technology for authenticating NFTs. And yeah, hopefully we're going to be able to have a good discussion and take some points, maybe even some questions at the end, if we still have time. So yeah, Carlos?
So my name is Carlos Kuchkovsky. It's a privilege to be here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of QEii, that is a company looking to provide quantum technologies, algorithms, security, and randomness to Web3 projects. I'm also happy to share our views about how to apply NFT for marketplaces.
Awesome. And before we start, I want to do a very quick exercise. Please raise your hand if you learned or purchased your first NFT either this year or the last one. Okay, so it's more or less divided. So yeah, actually, last year was the year of NFTs, and not because I am telling you, because the Collins Dictionary named NFT the word of the year. And what happened, it's basically an evolution. We saw in the first quarter of last year the explosion of NBA Top Shot and the collectibles. We saw the first involvement of art with Beeple's 5,000 days, 69 million auction at Christie's. And then towards the summer, we saw the explosion of collectibles, spearheaded by Bored Ape Yacht Club, of course, and then also the dent that the gaming NFTs via Axie Infinity and Play to Earn models also starting to explode. And in all, last year NFTs generated around 22 to 23 billion in total volume. In the first quarter of this year, we got around 12 billion, and due to several market conditions, the volume has been decreasing, as it was shown in a graph previously. But the use cases for NFTs are actually on the rise. And I want to start asking you, Vlad. Authentica uses proprietary technology to help creators, and we are seeing also a sudden shift in how the marketplaces are innovating and a sudden rising competition. Do you want to start talking about that?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting process because every time you come up with a new concept, it takes a while to get your market educated, right? And given the fact that NFTs have started, like a movement with the support of artists, it was very important for them, as the creators, to start getting educated about what this is. And you were talking about 2021, maybe even late 2020. I think it's a matter of making sure that the creators that are supposed to, push the industry are aware of what's going on. So one of the easiest things and one of the first things that people always encounter was, how do I protect my artwork? How do I make sure that, every time I put a little bit of my soul into what I'm creating, nobody's just taking it, right? So we've been talking to a lot of people, and we understand that this is a real problem for them because there's not necessarily so much protection around it. So we started focusing on that, and we understand that the more we're listening to artists and creators, the more you understand what their challenges are. So everything that we did was in this direction, and I think there's just a lot more input that you can get from creators in this part. And I think that so far, if you manage to listen to your community, talk to creators about the direction of where they want to go, it's the right way of going forward rather than doing a top to bottom approach.
Yeah, correct. And our MC was actually explaining that how the new royalty model is going to affect the industry. So, and it's a really interesting conversation. What do you think about it, Carlos?
Well, we are really interested to understand how new Web3 mechanisms, and for us, NFT is a new mechanism to improve the relation between stakeholders in a marketplace or in a digital platform. And let me put 2 examples. In a marketplace, you have the suppliers and the demand. So NFT is an amazing tool also to certify suppliers and also to automatize the revenue share between the platform and the suppliers. The suppliers now have the power to define who can get for what people they want to sell and what is the price and the revenue share model that they want to put. And also the buyers can know if some suppliers are certified or not. So we think that this will improve a lot in create trust, also as we were saying before, in the evolution of digital marketplaces. In the other side also, in the software as a service platform, there is also amazing opportunities and we are exploring some of them. I will have to explain later how you can start having some kind of subscription model. The free plan, the bronze plan, the gold plan, how this also is an NFT. I buy an NFT and if I make this in an early buying, I will have some kind of discount for 6 months. Or if I get a member because I recommend these services to another friends, also, I will have discounts, in my friends also discounts, or I will have some tokens of the company. So we are seeing how NFTs could create this engagement and better alignment between the stakeholders of platform and software as a service.
Yeah, let's go back to software as a service a bit later. I want to go back to the marketplace conversation again, because it's really interesting what you guys are doing at Authentica. And want to ask you, what are you thinking about the recent announcement of Instagram that it's basically becoming a marketplace? So I was talking yesterday listening to a sports conversation around NFTs, and we were discussing how Leo Messi could get back home from a match, take a picture, upload a story, and how much money people will pay for that. So this is going to disrupt the market as well. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the marketplaces? Because we're also seeing aggregators, different disruptors. What do you think?
No, I think that's great because the purpose of what we're doing is to be able to reach in an impactful way as many people as we can, right? It's not just about wealth creation, it's about what you do with power and how much good you can do with the power that you generate, right? And, with the recent news and everything, the big companies that we see are becoming more and more proactive. Let's hope that they figure out the best way to do it, because we know that from past, Meta has been having some interesting ways of walking into the crypto space. Some of them work, some of them didn't. But I think it's great, being able to have hundreds of millions of users, having access, it's one thing, right? They have access. But I think it's still the, Web3 focused companies that are doing the education process, right? Because I think Instagram is going to, have some challenges with regards to being able to educate everybody what this new feature is, right? Probably 80% of them will have absolutely no idea what this is. So I think it still creates a lot of opportunity for the, brand advocates of what we're doing and all the work that we're doing with regards to having a lot of money pushed towards educating the masses, right? Because at the end of the day, people still have the choice to, trade on whatever marketplace they want. But the fact that bigger companies are putting money and probably billions of dollars into marketing this, I think it's a great thing for everybody in the industry.
Yeah, and we also saw how Reddit implemented their NFT strategy, reducing basically the friction and making their process really, really smooth. So I think this is kind of a recipe. And I'm going to shift the conversation to QCentroid, because for me it's really interesting what you guys are doing. Basically using quantum technology and NFTs, for me it's like rocket science, to be honest. But you were talking about software as a service, which is probably a line of business that will be disrupted through NFTs. Do you want to elaborate more on that?
Yes, of course. We are seeing in the software as a service also you have providers, and in some kind of software as a service platform, like the machine learning one, that the people is putting software. In our case, we are engaging with physicists and mathematicians, PhD, that have the ability to make quantum algorithms that are really complex. So we believe in open source, but we don't believe too much in free source. So what we are doing with them is, okay, we can create a sign, a cryptography proof of the code, the performance of the algorithms, and with this we can make an NFT. So we are exploring with them how we could evolve the software as a license management. And for us, one more time, is we are giving to the demand side the capability to understand who are behind these algorithms, if this is good or bad, good results, and also having the power and management control of his knowledge to the creators. In this case, they are not artists, they are not filmmakers, they are physicists and mathematicians that also are creators. So we think that this concept could evolve to different kind of creators and could help also to manage this software as a service and marketplaces, because in the other side, you can start creating this kind of loyalty programs that we are talking a lot, but I can create loyalty programs from the people that I follow, or I can invest in some supplier, because we are also preparing the challenges part, so the people could invest like grants in mathematicians and physicists to make algorithms. So I invest in you, that I give you a grant, and we will have a piece of the money or the impact that these algorithms could make. And I hope that this example that about what we are doing also help to explain our vision of the power of the evolution of software as a service applying NFTs.
Wow. And you talk about software as a service, but I think it can also be seen like as insurance and how to apply to financial layers. Because if you think about financial products, they can even become NFTs with a, let's say, a fixed rate or a fixed product. So yeah, interesting. And what about you, Vlad? What use cases or business layers are you seeing disrupted by NFTs in the future?
Yeah, following up on what you were saying, I think that with regards to service providing and working towards a SaaS model, it's something interesting especially for the traditional corporate world to understand that Web 3.0 and NFTs is not just a bunch of crazy looking people attending a conference and talking about how they flipped for millions. There's more to it. So from that point of view, I think that it's important that in order to truly unlock the full potential of what NFTs can do, I think it's also not just our merit, because we should be grateful for being here and being allowed to work on what we love. It's also our responsibility to make sure that the rest of the global market understands what we're doing. So we have a lot of pressure in educating some of the companies and some of the corporates. So the SaaS model is something that we also started working on, because we create our technology and we're selling it on a SaaS model. And as soon as you say that to any company, we started talking to companies in the real estate. Right, decentralized fundraising in real estate. We talked to some companies in the U.S. So, for instance, when you have, let's say, an apartment for $10 million, it's a lot easier to sell it to 10 people or 100 people rather than just finding one buyer, right? So we see a lot of movement, a lot of traction in that part. One of the other things that I'm personally very fond of is charity. Right, you look at some of the bigger projects. For instance, you look at World of Women. Right, they've been raising so much money and they've been gaining so much traction. But also at the same time, it was very clear what they're going to do and the milestones they're going to use towards also making the world a better place with regards to education, with regards to giving back to society. So I think that the financial potential of working with NFTs, it's there. But at the end of the day, it's trading. It can go up, it can go down. But the fact that you can impact groups that need the support and just a little bit of money can change their life. If you think about it, the fact that you create something as an artist, somebody's helping you, building the right community, and then you give back to that can be the 13, 14-year-old girl that's struggling, and you're able to raise money, give it to a charity that's working, and she can, create the cure for cancer.
And I think this is the beauty of Web3 technologies in general, right? We saw how the play-to-earn model in 2021 was able to lift Southeast Asian economies, especially in the Philippines. And this is the same case for NFTs, democratizing access. I'm going to put two examples of projects that I'm currently advising. One is in the real estate, and you were mentioning real estate. So there is a DAO named Commonlands that it's building open communities for people of low income in several regions of the US. And there is the possibility of also tokenizing the real estate properties that can be bought by any of you guys here. And in the end, you will receive passive income for the rent that is actually paid in the real life. So that is just one example. And the other is I'm helping a Spanish film director build and launch his NFT collection. But we're trying to go further than that, providing real utility and building a community. Of course, sounds like a cliche, we know. But in the end, we aim to become a DAO that eventually helps indie film directors have a dent in the industry. They didn't receive the support normally from the big enterprises. Everything is basically controlled by Hollywood, let's say. So these indie directors don't have the same support and access to the opportunities that all other directors have. And I think that's what can be also seen across different applications. And NFTs, for example, we see small artists having the possibility of getting visibility through different marketplaces, through different blockchains. And I think that's the beauty of Web3.
So and I'm going to try to put an example why we are applying quantum to Web3 and to NFTs, because we start applying to finance, logistics, at the end quantum, and I will make a question. How many of you know or heard about quantum computing? How many of you know how it works, more or less? Okay, so the summary of the super easy summary is quantum computing and quantum algorithms could solve problems, in theory, let's call quantum advantage, faster and with more accuracy than whatever supercomputers. And we hope that in the next years, we will get to this quantum advantage. And some kind of problem is financial. How I create the best NFTs or the best assets to invest with less risk. Or how I will decide what are the best charity projects to create more impact. Or what is my best distribution to invest in NFTs that is giving real estate rights in different parts of the world, depending on my travels. So as you can see, all these problems are complex problems because I have a lot of combination. So I need to calculate all the potential results. Quantum computing has the ability to solve this, the potential, much faster, maybe in seconds and not hours or days. So our vision of this is, because I was saying we started before in the traditional world, is how we could embed to help to make better and automated decisions. And the two examples, I love the charity. I want to invest this amount of money in different projects that are designed by NFTs and the rights or the impact by this impact or this return of the investment.
And then, sorry.
No, I was just following up on what Carl said and what you started. I think that, everybody's talking about communities and how communities are being built around NFTs. Coming from, just like you said, traditional, moving into, a lot of the good things that we're doing today, it's not a community just because you have a group on Telegram or Discord, right? It's about how you interact, how you engage, how you structure also at the same time, because the other beauty of the true potential is the fact that you meet different type of people, right? If you go to a very specific niche conference, I know in the medical field, then pretty much everybody's a doctor. And then maybe they play golf or maybe they play basketball or maybe they like to run, right? Whereas here, it has nothing to do with, what people do for a living on a day-to-day basis in most cases. So you manage to put together a lot of different, researchers, creators, people from finance. Lawyers. So I think that one of the key things about the potential is us, being able to have so diverse people focused around something that we believe in. I think that's a great thing.
Talking about community, and one of the projects or the initiative that I now enjoying a lot and I'm fascinated is the concept of DeSci, decentralized science. how creators, artists are working together with researchers, and the two angles. The creators or artists are helping to create an NFT collection to funding research. But also this research is also help to the artists to get more nouns or to support something that they are concerned about. And the second part also for me is fascinating in science, how the NFTs could help to get grants and not also and help to manage something for me that is super important, that is the intellectual property or the intangible asset. We were talking about software license, that is a kind of intangible asset, but we have patents. So how projects like BetaDAO, Molecule, and others are making fractionalized IP, intellectual property, with NFTs, for me is also one of the really interesting use cases.
Yeah, and just before closing, you mentioned two interesting thoughts. One is how to probably use NFTs as a source of crowdfund, which probably can lead to trust issues if we continue to see a lot of cash grabs, right? And then how we are aiming and pushing to decentralization. And the main figure here and the main player are DAOs. And how NFTs can also, we all are all familiar probably with governance tokens, but in the end, NFTs are also tokens. So NFTs will also become governance for DAOs itself. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a trend that we might be looking at.
And you know, looking at how things are evolving. I mean, obviously, you guys have all the data in the world, right? You know a lot about NFTs and connect services around it. So I'm just curious, how do you see things moving for the next 3 to 5 years with regards to direction, with regards to products, with regards to projects? Because I think that what happened so far is, there was a boom. There was, a lot of great projects that managed to fundraise, charity. But this is just the beginning, right? There's been success, there's been failure, just like in, a startup. So from that point of view, NFTs are like a startup. They just got funded. There's a bunch of crazy people working day and night on, making it happen. And then there was a downswing that happened in that way. But what do you think is going to happen for the next, 3 to 5 years?
Nice question. So I think the main use case for NFTs will continue to be games. I see a massive push towards gaming, and we're already seeing how big companies are rolling out NFTs, and there's still a lot of resistance from the traditional gaming community towards NFTs. But I think we'll get to a point where NFTs are introduced in a smooth manner. People are become educated, understand the true potential of NFTs and the economy that they unlock, basically. And that is one of use cases. The other one that I was mentioning is DAOs, how through NFTs and we will aim to become and build decentralized layers, and NFTs becoming the main foundation of the decentralized voting powers. And one particular that I also see happening is NFTs becoming as ubiquitous in our life as NFCs, through NFTs unlocking our front doors, communicating with our smart houses. And I think this is a point where we might reach in the next 3 to 5 years.
What do you think?
Well, I don't have, there are different visions, but I prefer to share one crazy imagination about this, that sometimes I love physics also. So sometimes I start seeing NFTs like particles that start combining themselves, creating molecules and proteins. So I imagine having an ape, having other NFTs, so combining keys that give me access to another things, but also the dynamic NFTs. It's not only the right that I had with an NFT, also it's the responsibilities. Because if I don't make any kind of things, for example, support some charity project, I will lose my NFT.
Yeah. There's a lot of accountability definitely needed, right? So,
what about you, Vlad?
Well, I think that there's some strong opinion leaders that have been, formulating very interesting topics that they want to push towards the masses, and I think it's great because you need opinion leaders, you need icons, so to say, right? Every industry has some superstars. So I think that it's important that, we kind of like work towards creating our own superstars, but different, right? Yesterday there was a great talk about, a lot of money and the life that he had and how he managed to conduct himself. And, even after his death, people are still talking about the great things that he did. So I think that from that point of view, it's important for us to showcase that, regardless of what we do, we have a strong passion for something that we believe in, right? And I think that that's what's going to take us, wherever we want as a community. But yeah, definitely a lot of focus on gaming, right? Because it fits the profile. It's, people that understand the dynamics and the mechanics of technology and money. But also, I think that art is going to be very much disrupted in the next, 3 years with regards to access, content creation, artist protection, and basically just being able to bring together the art community in a more sustainable way. So I think, great times are coming.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.